I am all around. In every daydream, I am all you are and all you know. I am all around. I heard this voice say, I am all you are and all you know. Never far away, I'm on your side. This voice went on to say, here's how you know. See me in the sunny mornings, like the clouds I'm high above. I have filled your days with laughter and your heart with love. Ahem, yesh Adonai, in every daydream, b'makom chazeh, ve'anahi lo yadati. Ahem, yesh Adonai, b'makom chazeh, ve'anahi lo yadati. Wanting to believe this voice inside me, trust there's something there for me to hold. I know I'm not alone with all these feelings history has shown, and we've been told. Can you hear the children singing? Don't you feel their spirit grow? Surely God is with me always, but I did not know. Ahem, yesh Adonai, b'makom hazeh, ve'anohi lo yadati. Ahem, yesh Adonai, in every daydream, b'makom chazeh, ve'anohi lo yadati. When you struggle for your freedom, I'm right there close at hand. All in all, the world gets better when we understand. I am all around in every daydream. I am all you are and all you know.
Shabbat Shalom. It is so good to welcome you this evening to Temple Emanuel of South Hills. I am honored to be with you in song and in prayer tonight. You know, it feels often like we take 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. This week, I got to see pictures of a rabbi joining the Vice President of the United States, as well as the second gentleman, hanging a mezuzah on executive housing in the United States for the very first time. And then today, we saw that same vice president be invested with the powers of the presidency, albeit temporarily, marking the first time that a woman and a woman of color has been invested with those powers. 2 steps forward. And yet also in today's news, we realized the heartbreak and the challenge we face in this country, as it may indeed be some of our laws that are holding us back from achieving justice. 1 step backward. 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. This Shabbat, we recognize that more people are getting vaccinated against COVID-19 than ever before, and indeed, with 5 to 11-year-olds capable of receiving the vaccine, many in this community continue to be vaccinated. 2 steps forward. And yet the case counts coming out of Allegheny County are particularly challenging now, particularly leading into Thanksgiving weekend. 1 step backward. And I would encourage you to think about how to safely navigate your Thanksgiving plans. 2 steps forward and 1 step backward seems to be the story of life. And yet Shabbat gives us an opportunity to come together, an opportunity to be together, an opportunity to take a deep breath as we recognize not only perhaps the good and the struggles of this world, but our place within God's creation. Would you join me in your prayer books on page 10 as we recognize how good it is to be together tonight with words of Hine Matov.
Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
This evening is our annual terms. Temple Emanuel retirees doing mitzvah service here at Temple Emanuel of South Hills, though it may look a little bit different than ever before. For those who are in the room, you realize we don't have too many members of terms with us, though I'm honored and excited to invite forward several to participate in our service tonight. Many others have pre-recorded their pieces, and so for technology in the room, for the first time, we're leaving the screens on behind me. I feel a little bit like I'm at a rock concert, turning to see Rebecca and seeing only my narcissistic self in the screen behind you. But it is wonderful to be able to see and hear those members of terms as they lead us in this very special service. They've decided that tonight would do best to honor those who helped us throughout the pandemic, those frontline workers, first responders, essential individuals who enabled us to do the things we were able to do to continue on during COVID-19. And we're going to hear from some of them throughout our service, beginning, hopefully, if everything is set up right, with Linda Scott right now.
May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
We turn now in our prayer books to page 2, bringing some additional light into this world, as it's my pleasure to invite forward Barbara and Lee Feldman. Would you join us for the kindling of our Shabbat lights, page 2.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As the brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen. And would you join us on pages 4 and 5? And if it's comfortable for you to do so, I would invite you to rise.
Vayehi Erev, Vayehi Boker, Yom HaShishi. And there was evening and there was morning, the 6th day. The heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the 7th day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the 7th day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Please join me.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kosho v'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zivtarot lemaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta v'tanu kilashta mikol amim v'shabbat koshecha v'ava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. Thank you both so much. You are welcome to be seated as we turn now in our prayer books to page 12, words of Lechu Neranena. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai. Raise a shout for our rock and our deliverer.
Lechu Neranena, Yai Lai 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 Lai, L'Adonai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Nahariah, Yai Lai 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 Lai, L'Tzori Sheinu, Yai Lai 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 Lai. Let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechu Neranena, Yai Lai 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 Lai, L'Adonai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Nahariah, Yai Lai 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 Lai, L'Tzori Sheinu, Yai Lai 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 Lai. For all of the wonder in all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lechu Neranena, Yai Lai 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 Lai, L'Adonai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Nahariah, Yai Lai 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 Lai.
Hills Terms Group, our retirees doing mitzvah service, do a number of wonderful things for our synagogue community, from planning programs and social events to coming together for collegiality and too many bad jokes for weekly or for monthly meetings. The Terms Group so enriches the life of this community, and it's only fitting on this evening where we wish to honor them for their commitment and dedication to temple, that they have chosen to honor others. And indeed, we continue with a poem not found in your prayer book, read by Alan Shore, as we honor those first responders who have helped us throughout this pandemic.
Angels in scrubs put their lives on the line, helping the sick, putting patients' needs first before their own well-being. Humanity best who rise to the occasion. They deserve our respect and our gratitude.
On page 13 in our prayer book, we continue the liturgy of Kabbalat Shabbat, singing to God a new song, Sing All the Earth, a new song to our God. I suppose I don't truly know the origins of the acronym TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, and I should probably do a little research before I attribute it to a Jew. But it certainly seems like something we would uphold in our community. Indeed, we were the first from biblical times to exclaim, "Thank God it's Friday." The work week is behind us, the weekend, the opportunity to sit, to study, to sleep in, to simply enjoy being a part of creation is upon us. And we can imagine ourselves running into the weekend, just as the mystics in northern Israel did on pages 20 and 21. They were going out to greet Shabbat. We, in our exuberance, are excited to welcome Shabbat and Friday night as well. We continue now on page 20.
Dodi likrat kala, P'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu elcham yuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, v'shemo tiferet v'litila, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha, k'hi mekor habracha, me'rosh me'kedem nesucha, sof maseh b'machashava techila, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoriri, kiva orech, humi ori, uri, shir daveri, kavod Adonai, alayich nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela.
I invite you to rise.
Bogi v'shalom ateret bala, gam v'simcha u'v'tzohola, toch emunei am segula. Bogi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei Shabbat nekabela.
As we have welcomed Shabbat, so too do we turn to welcoming one another, and I invite you to take this opportunity to turn to the people beside you, to wish them a Shabbat Shalom, that we might form sacred community with which to pray this evening.
That was good.
And I invite you to be seated as we continue with welcoming. Page 24 in our prayer books, words of Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamla. שובכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון, ממלך מלאכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaMelachim. Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Harvey and Lynn Rubin remind us that superheroes are not only those who wear capes and who can be seen on the big screen.
Heroes, the ones who hold us up, the ones who care, facing danger, walking forward without fear.
Taking on our challenges, helping those in need, facing fear, running in with strength.
Reassuring us, sharing their knowledge, facing unknowns, speaking with a calm presence.
Moving forward, helping us all stay calm, the ones who lift us up and the ones we uphold in return.
Would you join me now on page 26? Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabba Melma divrach herute v'yamlich malchute B'chayechon uvyomechon Uvchayedecho Beit Yisrael Bagala bagala Uvizman kariv V'meru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'alam Ulam Me'amaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitbar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitalev V'yithalal Shemei Dekudesha B'richu Le'ela Mikol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran belma v'meru. Amen. Our Baruch Hu praise, our formal call to worship, can be found in our prayer books on page 28. When you have found your page, if it's comfortable for you to do so, I would invite you to again rise.
Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Lai, 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 lai.
Terms member Will Joseph leads us in the reading on the top of page 29.
There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song.
Thank you, Will. Would you join me now on page 31 at the top of the page as we read together in the English? Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And on the bottom of page 33, wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol, all these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works in the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. As I invite Mary Catherine forward to lead us on page 36, in words of our Ve'ahavta, I would invite everyone to be seated.
Together, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol avakav nakosh nafshaka uvekol meyodecha ve'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anuki mitzavaka hayom alevavecha Vishinatam Vaneka Vidibarta Bam Vishiftaka Viteka Ulektika Vaderek Uvshakbaka Uvukumeka Ukshartam Leo Tayadeka Vehayuda Totafot Beneneka Ukavtam Amusizot Beiteka Uvishareka Lemon Tiskaru Sitem Ekomitzvotai Vitem Karushim Lelohekem Ani Adonai Elohekem Asher Tzeitekem Meyer Mitzrayim Liot Lachem Lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Thank you, Mary. We turn now in our prayer books to page 40, our prayer of freedom and justice in a world that is not yet free, in a world that sometimes feels so far from just. Sing the song of men and women, join in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Adonai, mi kamokenet arba kodesh, nurah tehilot osef elev,
another poem honoring our first responders and our essential workers. We invite Mindy Spitzer to lead us.
Workers of the pandemic, frontline battlers, essential in our well-being, needed for continuous survival, working for humanity's benefit, asking for nothing more than basics, for protective equipment, for funding required, for a little considerate respect. We see you and we thank you for your hard work, for your perseverance, for your bravery.
We turn now to page 44, Words of Vishamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'rit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'rit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'rit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et haaretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'rit olam. U'bayom hashvi'i Shabbat ba'inafash, Shabbat ba'inafash, Shabbat ba'inafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam b'rit olam.
Tefillah, the central portion of our worship service this evening, can be found beginning on page 46. And again, I invite you to rise. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagid tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el hagadol hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, Gomer chasadim tovim, V'konei hakol, V'zocher chaste avot v'imahot, Umevi gula livnei b'nei ham, Leman shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Vezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bagivurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Ata L'Hachayot HaKol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yaluch haselah. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. I invite you to continue now with the traditional words of prayer through page 60, or taking this time for the silent prayers and meditations that can only come from each of our own hearts. When you have finished your silent prayers this evening, I would invite you to be seated. We turn in our prayer books now to page 60, Words of Shalom Rav, our evening prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol ha'shalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol ha'shalom. V'tov ba'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך
join together in sacred community on Shabbat, perhaps especially when we join together in sacred community on Shabbat, we think of those who aren't with us this evening, those who might be struggling of ailments of mind, of body, of spirit. If there are family or friends, members of the community you are thinking of, for our healing prayers, our Mishaberach Lecholim, I invite you to share their name aloud if you're comfortable doing so. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim. Blessed are you, God, who brings a measure of comfort to all who are ill. And together we say, Amen. These words of prayer can be found on page 253.
Mishaberach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mishaberach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your love. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mishaberach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mishaberach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mishaberach Avoteinu, Mishaberach Imoteinu, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
To honor us with a few words this evening, it is my pleasure to call upon Roger Liss, our fearless leader of our terms group.
Rabbi Herschel, when asked what was the most important thing a congregation should do, the rabbi thought for a minute and then gave a one-word reply. Remember, That is what we should do this Shabbat. The last 19 months have been very different and stressful for everyone, but essential workers have put their lives at risk in order to let us experience something that was almost normal. We dedicate this Shabbat service to remember those essential workers and offer our heartfelt thanks to all. Those in our community who put themselves at risk for our benefit. Every day we were bombarded with statistics of how many were infected and how many died. Those victims were real people, not statistics. The doctors, nurses, and other hospital personnel were directly exposed to the disease, sometimes without the best equipment. The retail workers wore masks and stood behind plastic shields, but they still had to breathe what we left behind. We want to thank all those who did their very best to provide some normalcy to our lives at the risk of their own. First responders regularly put their lives at risk, but the pandemic made their work even more dangerous. Parents could not go back to work until their children were either back in school or daycare. When the kids began returning without vaccines, teachers and other school personnel were subject to risks that were not in their job description. Under normal conditions, kids are notorious disease spreaders in the classroom, but the pandemic added a totally new dimension to the problem. We give thanks to transit workers and religious leaders for keeping us going when the going got tough. For many, the pandemic has been very stressful. We thank the mental health professionals for providing some relief for those who suffered. All we can offer are words, but hopefully our heartfelt gratitude will shine through. We must remember them and never forget.
Thank you, Roger, for honoring those essential workers and first responders, for leading our terms group. As you have honored them, so may we honor you, our terms community, as well as all of those essential personnel with one of the oldest blessings in Jewish tradition, Birkat Kohanim, asking God's presence, God's sense of peace in their lives in this difficult time. You to join us back in your prayer book. Words of Aleinu Leshabech can be found on the bottom of page 282. It is a pleasure to invite Milt Wolf to lead us in these words of prayer. And when you have found your page 282, I would again invite you to rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, l'sek gadol al yotzei bereshit, shelo asanu kagei haratzos, v'lo somanu b'yoshos ha'adama, shelo som kalkeinu kohem, v'gor aleinu kochol hamonam. V'anachnu karim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu hiye Adonai echad u'shemo Ushemo Echad. I invite you to be seated as we remember those who have come before us, those upon whose shoulders we stand as we reach for even greater heights in this world. We mourn the passing of Marilyn Shore, who was laid to rest in recent days, and observe the period of Shaloshim for Marilyn, Mimi Bernard, Edward Bolner, Dal Goldstein, and Edward Hopkins. This Shabbat we mark the yahrzeit, the commemoration of the passing of Louis Barr, Bernard Berger, Jeffrey Burnson, Edward J. Bremen, Rosalind Stein Favish, Sam Finder, George Frankel, Sarah First, Milton W. Gollum, Harold Guggenheim, Alice McKay Kelly, Victor Levine, Arnold Liebenson, Richard Maidman, Abraham Neiman, David J. Neustadt, Bertha Peresman, Bessie Popkin, Isaac Rappaport, Louis Resnikoff, Ida Ray Rosenberger, Isidore Rotman, Israel Rudoy, Nettie Sasnow, Richard Seawald, Lorraine M. Simon, Alfred Teplitz, Cheryl Turoff, Naomi Vatz, Margaret Garfinkel Weiner, Milton Zakowitz. Yehei zichronam livracha. May their memory be for us an everlasting blessing. If there are others you are remembering this evening, or if I have inadvertently mispronounced the name of a loved one, I would invite you to share their names with the congregation. Words of Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish, can be found on page 294. I would invite you to rise as together we affirm these words, page 294. Yit Gadal V'Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divrach Hirutei V'Amlich Malchutei V'Chayechon V'Yomechon U'Chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala V'Zman Kariv V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach Leolam Olamei Almaya. Yit Barach V'Yishtabach V'Yitpa'ar V'Yitramam V'Yitnaseh V'Yithadar V'Yitale V'Yithalal Shemei D'Kudsha B'Richu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechamata Damiran Be'alma V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mramav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'Imru Amen. May God, who makes peace in the highest of heavens, make peace for us and for all who mourn. And together we say, Amen. I invite you to be seated. In the early days of the pandemic, I was a little bit wary about seeing myself on video. No one really likes to see themselves on video, but eventually you get used to it. What I haven't gotten used to, thank you, Dan Rothschild, for this beautiful space and all of those beautiful windows, which reflect my image right back to me in every single window. It's going to take a little bit more getting used to for that. This was the first evening that we have used these screens in the space throughout the duration of our service. I hope that it has been a benefit, allowing members of the community who wouldn't otherwise be comfortable being here in person to participate, and that it wasn't quite as distracting for you as it was for me going throughout the room. But I want to thank everyone who participated in tonight's service, those members of Terms with us in person, as well as the many who chose to pre-record a part honoring our essential workers and first responders. Rebecca, Closson, and Jim Burns, thank you as always for enriching the music of our worship, and to Leslie Hoffman for making sure everything works seamlessly behind the scenes. And speaking of working seamlessly behind the scenes, if you'll forgive me one shameless plug this Shabbat, if you are joining us on Facebook, you'll notice the Facebook post right below this one matches a letter you may have received in the mail if you're a member of the congregation. Temple's only annual fundraiser, our Giving Tuesday effort, starts as we draw closer to that Tuesday after Thanksgiving. Your contributions help to ensure everything we're able to do within the synagogue, not only for our membership, but for the Jewish community in the South Hills, continues. And you would honor us with a contribution probably after Shabbat is over, if you see fit to do so. For now, I invite you to turn in your prayer books to words of our closing song. You can find words of Ein Kelohenu on page 322. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.